Yeah, YouTubers, Tazman here, bringing you another bonus video of Fantasy Grounds Unity from the ground up. And in our last bonus video, we were talking about Unity and also Classic on which to get. So in this one, we're actually going to talk about something that I probably towards the very beginning when we're talking about character creation, I started talking about this, and they've released a first beta version of the character wizard. Now, it's not actually integrated inside of Fantasy Grounds Unity directly. In fact, if you want it, what you have to do is go to the Fantasy Grounds forums, and you could look up this. I'll try and remember to put this URL right here into the video description where I keep all my links. But anyway, what you can do is you can get this and you just download this 5e chargen extension. And once you've downloaded it, then you just put it in your extension folder. So I think that's it. There is some, bugs with it and stuff because it is beta. You'll notice here, so we actually have a beta of a beta in an early access. But anyway, yeah, so this is beta version of it. It's actually really pretty cool. I've seen a couple issues with it that I'm 90% sure will be taken care of. We will cover that as we go into it. But as you can see, these are the known issues that they have here. The race page, known issues, stats page, class page. So it has a fair amount of issues, and that's not a big deal. Anytime you're dealing with beta, early access, stuff like that, as I've said before, you can always count on issues like that. The next thing I want to show you, once you have it downloaded, all you have to do is, as you can see, we're in our Fantasy Grounds Unity. Depending on where you actually told it to set up your data folder, which is this guy right here. I actually told mine to go here. The default location, I believe, is, let's see if we can find it real quick. Generally, if you type in %appdata and followed by another %, this will take you to your roaming, and I think it's in Smiteworks. Do we have a Smiteworks in here? And then Fantasy Grounds, and maybe there is a data folder in here. I'm not 100% sure. I usually move mine out of the local profile or the user profile. So you can change that. We talked about that, I think, in one of my first videos where you can click on settings. I can't do it here because I actually have another instance of Fantasy Grounds up, and it'll just say, sorry, I detected you have another process called Fantasy Grounds running. But anyway, you just click on that. I think it's the very last tab. I think there's 3 up top. First one is where you can put in your key, put in your Smiteworks information. The second one, I think, is linking to your Steam and Paizo accounts. And then the third one is locations, directories, where actually it is installing Fantasy Grounds and where that data directory is. So as I've said, I put mine actually here. If you have just a base install of Fantasy Grounds, everything that is right here will be here. This is where I keep my exports of characters that I make. So there's Duthien, Athena, Josette, and Mercy. And then I told it to put the data file here. So once you've located your data file, all you have to do is go into extensions here. And as you can see, I already have it right here, 5e chargen.ext. If you ever download modules from, say, DM's Guild, extensions, things that end in ext will go in the extensions. Modules will go in the .mod directory. So there you go. Once you've done that, you fire up Fantasy Grounds, and we'll go ahead and pull back up our thing here. In the load campaign, you'll look for this one called Character Generator. So no matter which one you're looking for, you want to make sure that character generator is actually loading up. This is our current campaign that we're running, the White Well, and has our characters in it. So we have all these other options also selected. But as long as you have character generator, you will be able to do this. Now, once again, I'd like to stress that eventually this will just be part of Fantasy Grounds. They're only releasing it as an extension right now, for those that don't want it, I guess. But eventually it will be in Fantasy Grounds. So once you've done that, I'm actually going to say join campaign and say start. I don't think I have a password on it. Hopefully not. But if we go into Fantasy Grounds, basically we will be greeted by this. Where you find it, there isn't any options, or at least I didn't see any. Let's just double check real quick. There aren't any options that I can think of in here that actually link to that. Even if there were, I don't know what they would actually be settings for, other than maybe enable or disable, because it's pretty much all self-contained. So once you have that extension installed and stuff, if you go into character, you'll notice now you have this little star, and this is the open the character wizard. Now there are some things with it that I would like to see different, like the order of the tabs and stuff, but ultimately you can still accomplish what you want. And what we're going to do today is we are going to create a warlock, because I thought that sounded kind of fun. So anyway, let's go ahead and click on that. You'll see you're greeted with this wonderful window right here. You'll notice that it says race, stats, class, background, inventory, spells, and feats. These are the orders that they kind of want you to do it in. Kind of what I would say is required would be the race, stats, class, and background. These you could actually finish doing your thing without having those done. This little exclamation point means something is not done in this page. It doesn't actually tell you if you mouse over it. And then this little X is telling you you probably don't want to go on to the next feature until this turns into a check. So for example, let's say our, I don't know, let's do something different. Let's make our warlock an ASMR or ASMR, I don't know. So all you have to do is click right here, and you'll see now it turns in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this because we're going to want this information for later, and you will see why in just a minute. Let's make that just a little bigger. So we chose that. If there's sub races and stuff, it will actually pop up something. You'll see that all the current Wizards of the Coast modules actually work fine with it. You can see we actually have the Minotaur, the Loxodon, the Vedalken, whatever. So, and you can see we can now move on. We have the option of either clicking next, or we can click the stats, or click the actual next one. So stats, here is where I would like it to be well, actually, it's actually with background. I think background is always best to do first, because there are, as I've mentioned before, there are actual skills in there that you don't get to choose. And if we choose the class first, it wants us to select those skills right there, and we don't necessarily know about the background. The other thing about, I almost think stats should be like towards last. Because then you're going to have an idea of everything else. Here you kind of have to keep track of, oh, okay, so if I'm going to make an ASMR here, or technically if I want the class, I want to know specifically what, which attributes I really want to use. Because with ASMR we can see that we do get ability score increases, which is 1 here and 2 here. So 1 on our wisdom, 2 on our charisma. And you can see that will be reflected automatically in here. But let's go ahead, and we're going to do it in the wrong order just because I think it's better to actually do background first, then class, then race, then stats. Although class and race doesn't really matter. But if we go over here to background, so I'm going to choose for this warlock, and this is where also you could do class first. So we're actually going to say it's a warlock, right? And this is the part that is kind of handy to have right here. Let's go and shrink this down. This will all make sense in just a minute. Why can't I grab this corner? I'm like touching these buttons or something. Hello? There we go. So one thing that's kind of handy to do in here is if you come down to the quick build section, you can see you can make a warlock quickly by following these suggestions. First, charisma should be your highest ability score. So what we would want to do is, okay, know that charisma is our highest ability score. So if we actually come back to stats, we can see here that the stats are showing that we do get a plus here and a plus here. So this is kind of nice because you don't actually have to, add them up in your mind or whatever, or keep track, oh, this is 10 and this, like we've done in the past. So this is kind of why I like to, I don't know, there's going to be a perfect order or a really nice order to do this in. And I think before your stats, I mean, it's definitely good to get your race because then you actually see what bonuses you get. Then you have your class so you can see, what your recommended is. And then, of course, with your background, if we chose, let's see, if we're I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with the tried and true criminal. We're a smooth criminal. So if we do this, now we can see we automatically got deception and stealth, which means now when we go into class where it tells us we need to choose our skills, we can do this. So you can totally see here how we're bouncing back and forth, and it's really not too big of a deal. But it's just to get these first little pieces taken care of. So if we go look at our criminal background, we now know that we get deception and stealth. We also get to choose our tool proficiency. This is irrelevant to everything else. But, let's just say playing cards. Now background's taken care of. Now if we go into our class, we can go look at what our other proficiencies are. So we could do deception. Nope, that doesn't make sense. We already have it. And it will actually allow you to have double deception. So I recommend not doing that. Let's do maybe intimidation and investigation. Why? I don't know. Just because. Then also we can see here we can specify a specialization. As a warlock, I kind of like the fiend. I like the idea of actually having a little imp or something as a pet. So I'm going to do fiend. And then if we wanted to multi-class, we could also do that down here where it would allow us to multi-class. You'll notice we have a lot less options for our multi-class because as far as I can tell, it's actually going and checking that you meet the requirements for the multi-class. So now that we've done that, this is where I like to do the stats. At the end, when I have all this other stuff figured out, I know exactly what I want the max out. So with this, you can choose between the standard array, which is the 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8, and it just puts it in that order. You can choose between manual entry, so you're rolling the dice all by yourself and typing in the stuff. There's the point buy system. This is kind of nice because it actually allows you to the point buy system without having to go to a web page, because the point buy system is definitely one of the more complex ones. And then of course you can actually just say dice roll. And this is kind of nice because it automatically runs this 6 times. So if we run this, we'll just get a slew of dice in here and we will see it automatically applies what we rolled. We can do that multiple times if we want. In order to have it roll again, we'd have to do this. Oops, I missed it. And we can roll again. As you can see, this is kind of weak. So you know, I would say if you roll and it's bad, then just go for the standard ray. Let's just, and you can also change these manually, even though it's dice roll. Holy cow, that is terrible. Let's just kind of get a pretty decent character. We're not even going to keep this. Let's say maybe 13, 15, and let's have a max. Let's actually have a max. So now the way you actually order these things is you click these little arrows, and this can get a little complex too, because like, oh, if I wanted the 15 here, but I need to move this guy, now the 15 moves there, and you can see as I move them, it kind of shuffles everything around. So let's say we want the 17 on Dex. We'll put the 11 on our strength, which is fine. So 17 on Dex, 15 con, 13 int. I think that's actually pretty decent. Now you'll notice that in this part, it's actually automatically applying any of these changes. Once again, you can fudge these things if you want. You'll notice also here with dice roll, we actually, I didn't notice that before, but we have the reroll button. You can actually tell it what you want. You know, you could say roll 5 dice and drop the lowest 2 or something like that, which might actually give you a higher chance of getting something good. You can see it actually does it all, and you can see that it's saying that these are for character generation, that it rolled those. So now that we have these base things all picked out, these are the main things. And as far as difficult things, I would say, you know, the most difficult thing when creating characters probably these three things and getting them set up. These guys, not so much. I mean, if you have a variant, a human variant, you can make this. If it's a caster, you definitely have spells. Inventory is always the same. You don't even have to do this part if you don't want. As long as you have these first 4 checked, you will get this save button and close. Let's give him a name. Let's name him Low Key Bit. More like Low Key. Something like that. I think let's just look at these. When I was testing this, it actually did not save any of the stuff. Now I might have been doing something wrong, I'm not sure, but it was being a little hooky when I first tried this out. So if we come here and hit, we're on background, so we can hit next or we can click inventory. So this is why I have all these pages pulled up here for our different things, because it doesn't know, at least now it doesn't know offhand what a criminal actually gets. So you can see we have our 3 categories. We have gear, weapons, and armor. We have a spot down here for gold. I can't click in there. Oh, see, look, it's thinking we're typing up here. So I haven't had any success of actually clicking in these windows and getting it to type anywhere than the last place my cursor was. So this is something you'll need to remember do when you get into your character. So let's go ahead and look at this. Let's say we need a crowbar, so we can just come up here and say CROW, and it sorts fine. We'll also notice that we do get some truncation of some longer items. They'll kind of just cut off. Not sure if we'll see them with what we're doing, but just something to keep in mind. We have dark common clothes with a hood, so COMMON. So here we have our common clothes, so we can drag that down. Whoops, drag that down with the eye. We can go in here, and I really hate how it says that, so I'm gonna say dark COMMON close, and we'll just do the /W hood. Right, so you can do that stuff all here. You can, it's not actually doing any of the weight, which is kind of interesting, but you can also change the stat, whether it's carried, equipped, or not carried. Let's see, what else do we get? We get a belt pouch, so let's go ahead and do a pouch. And there's our belt pouch. I do know that we get a component pouch, so while we're here, I'm going to grab a component pouch. We get a component pouch or an arcane focus, our choice. I'm going to choose component pouch because I looked for arcane earlier and it wasn't here. Yeah, see, so here's, you can see the truncation of the longer words. So there we go. We now have our component pouch. So in a nutshell, we already did our gaming set. Oh, these are proficiencies, not actually equipment that you have. But I usually say my characters can have these things. That's up to the GM. So let's just make sure things are here. So we did a deck of cards. CRDS. Let's see if that's in here. No, not cards. How about card? No, not card. How about playing? PLAYING. No playing. Alright, so guess it's not considered gear. It's considered all inventory. They should have an all one. They should have gear. I think there's tools also if we come over here under the actual character. You can see that there's weapons, armors, gear, and tools. I think those fall under the tools. Alright, so that pretty much completes our criminal. I'm just going to put it down here in case we need it later. So there's that. Alright, so now we can see we did all that. So now let's go here and look. So we get a light crossbow and 20 bolts or any simple weapon. Let's go ahead and choose a simple weapon. Choose crossbow, CROSS, right? So hit cross. This will give us our, I'm trying to click on the line. That'll give us our crossbow bolts. I don't want crossbow bolt. And then if we go to weapons, I thought it had case in here before. Oh yeah, it has case. So we have our 20 bolts. We have our that, and now we go to weapons. We have our light crossbow. So there you go. Let's see. We also have a Scholar's Pack or Dungeoneers, so this would probably be under gear. Let's look up pack. And I'm just going to take Dungeoneers. So there's our Dungeoneers pack. Now, one thing you also notice, it actually gives us the pack. It doesn't actually expand it and give us everything within it. When I actually saved mine last night, it didn't populate my character sheet with any of this stuff. So we're kind of doing a test by verifying that this actually works. So we're in inventory. Let's see, and then we get leather armor. So let's just type leather, Leather, go to armor, and there we go. So we could do leather, or if we're really nice, we do studded leather, which is a little bit better. I think gives us an additional one. Like I said, this character is going to be deleted, so it really doesn't matter. We get any simple weapon, so I think I'm going to do a quarterstaff. STAFF. Go ahead and do that. Come to weapons. There's our quarterstaff. And we get 2 daggers. DAGG. Daggers. So we have the daggers. We can come down here, increase it to 2. And I think that does it for all our equipment. Now the other thing is if we hit next, now we are race. What is it doing? Does it start over? It did actually. Because this is the background. Yeah, look at that. It actually oh, there's inventory now. I'm not sure why I did that. So here we can see we have all our stuff. Let's go ahead. Next. And now it says race. Alright, well let's just do spells manually then. I'm not sure what that's about. Alright, so now that we have spells, you can see down here where it's all overlapping. I believe this is saying we get 2 cantrips available, and spells available. Now, as a warlock, we only get 1 slot, so we only get 1 spell slot, but we do get 2 cantrips. So you can actually click here, and we're in cantrips. Let's just go ahead and do the bread and butter. You'll also notice it actually has loaded all spells. We see that these ones with the parentheses on it are the Rob Tui ones, so they're a little bit more advanced. So let's go ahead and do Eldritch Blast, and I don't know, Mage Hand. Go ahead and do that. So we can look at this and just see that Eldritch Blast has a range of 120, Mage Hand has a range of 30. Alright, so that's that. We also get 2 known level 1 spells, although we only get 1 spell slot. So let's do Comprehend Languages. That can always be handy. So, and you'll notice this is counting down saying what you get. If you were to add more, I don't think it stops you. We'll try that just to make sure. And Hellish Rebuke is always fun. So these might not be the best ones to have, but let's try and add Witch Bolt. See, now it gave us a -1. There is no option to remove one, so I don't think once you've added it, you can delete it that way. So instead we could have Comprehend Languages. So you can see now we've messed it up where it thinks we have 2 more. So it definitely has its quirks. So finally we have feats. We don't actually have any feats available to it. So I think now, I'm wondering, I'm kind of curious now that we've actually added spells. So there's that, and now it goes right back to race. So if we hit save, we get some errors. But we can now close this out, and if we go look at our character, we can see it does a pretty decent job. I mean, it got all this right. It even did our D8 here, plus the con of 2. So it gave us the 10, so it did that right. Looks like it got this all okay. Ability-wise, this looks like it's lacking. I mean, I might have to try and make a manual warlock, but this seems like it's lacking to me. Seems like there'd be more stuff in here. Celestial Legacy, what is that from? Oh, from ASMR. But not 100% sure. Inventory, this is where I was saying it's completely blank. Now, I don't know, that could definitely have something to do with, you know, we don't have our CP, our SP, our EP, our GP, and then, of course, the platinum pieces. So right now, it looks like it's kind of pointless to add all the spells and the items because it doesn't populate that properly. We do know we get 15. So definitely something to keep in mind. Notes, really, there's nothing there that we would have done. Faction, of course not. And then action, it didn't keep any of our spells and didn't keep any of our weapons. So it is a work in progress. It definitely is really cool. And I think just figuring out an order to do things in. Now, I did have a question. It did look like you might be able to advance characters. Let's go ahead and put Warlock ASMR in here just in case. So if we come into character, no, it sounded like there was a spot where you could actually upgrade your character. I didn't mention also you can do your level in here. I believe it's with class. I could have swore I saw level somewhere in here. Maybe I didn't. Let's try this again. Let's try Warlock. Oh, there it is, level. So in order to level, I believe you just drag this out and maybe back in. No. Can we type in that window? 2. No. So maybe that's also a work in progress. Maybe drag that in there. I don't know. Drag it over here maybe? Nope. No. So I mean, it does look like there will be an option for adding levels. Maybe we add it down here. And it definitely looks like it wants to add something in here where you can choose multiple levels. But that does not work right now. Can we cancel? Yeah. X. Did it actually? Yeah, it worked. So there you go. It's a free extension. So, I mean, you can't really knock it too much. It's free. It definitely has a lot of potential, especially for once it's actually more further along and works better. It's going to make character creation, say for new players and stuff, much easier, because it's going to just lay it all out for you as far as what you need to do, which is really nice. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Loki here. And I do hope you guys found this video informational, instructional, and enlightening. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. It helps me tremendously on YouTube. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. Don't forget about my great big game giveaway. I'm getting so close. As of right now, I'm about 941 subs, I believe. So we're only, what's that make it? 59 away from the Great Big Game giveaway, where I'm giving away 57 Steam games, 1 copy of Fantasy Grounds Classic Standard Edition, and that's it. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.